Good morning. Odin, are you already in Twitch chat? Or is that an old notification? Resubscribed with Prime. They've subscribed for 14 months for your meth addiction. Thank you. It's just what I needed. Oh, you are here. Hey, good morning, Odin. Hope you're having a good one. Um, I'm tired of winter. In my mind, it is now springtime. We're also listening to a new artist today. This is from Jazz Hop Cafe, which is someone that I've listened to for a while. Um, they... Let's see if I have the link to this one. They're similar to Lo-Fi Girl, but they do a lot more, like, themed stuff. Oh, that's the wrong link. Let me grab this. And so I'll just drop the link in both chats if anyone wants to... That's where this background comes from, too. It's the same thing, the music and the background. In Germany, the weather is finally getting warmer. Here in the States, too, I think the deep south is still pretty deep in the cold. And it's still a little chilly here, but we've had some days of warmth. And then it kind of like, it bounces back and forth up until it kind of stabilizes to just being warm consistently. We're gonna just jump into it. Kind of show what I've done since last time. And then we are going to spend a bit of time today talking about game design, because there was a pretty big game that came out just a few days ago that a lot of people have been playing, a lot of people have been talking about. And so I think I'd be doing myself a disservice not to kind of dissect it as a designer. Hey, Nibble, how you doing? Good to see you. But first, let's just show off minor things that I've done and kind of what the plan is. Nibble, I haven't yet implemented your idea of changing these to case studies or away from files. But I did move, it's hard to see, I did kind of move this entire thing over to the left a little bit. So it's easier to see the text and it's not being warped by the roundness of the screen itself. I also added an image slot. That's a public domain image from ArtV of just like a Arctic wolf from like an old like research thing. That I'll probably have to swap out. I think long term I want to make my own images, but for now that was ultimately just to have something test and see how well it blends with the rest of the screen. I don't like it. File actually seems fine. Oh, okay. That's good. Because even with Profile, the issue that I had is that too many words get squished and it's hard to kind of read, especially for those single buttons. So, one thing that I want to do today is actually get it to where when you select and I think you said, what was it? I'll have to go back in the chat. It wasn't behavior, it was like something else. Well, when you select one and you assign it to either file 1, 2, or 3, I want it to show up here. Now doing that, also good morning, Basti. Hello, hello. Doing that, just like with what I have existing, is actually easy, but I don't want to just do a blanket band-aid solution. I want to integrate it with the rest of the stuff that I've built, and that's a little bit more challenging. So let me kind of describe what we have going on here before we start diving into it. And I'm worried that it might get a little too technical, so some of this I might have to do off stream if I feel like it's not super good to do right now. But as you know, oh, these colors make it hard for you guys to see. Let's go with like let's just do white. There we go. We have these two screens. We'll make it even a little bit bigger. I still want some space. And when you select these behavior traits, you know what? Let's actually get the name that you threw out last time so that I can stop using the lesser of them. Observations, that's what they are. So when you select a observation, I guess behavior observation, at least for this context. But in the game, I think observation will be okay on its own based on the context of the environment. When you select an observation and you add it to a file, getting it to just show up on this screen is actually pretty straightforward. I just need to add a text box here. Maybe even just like another button text box like we have here, and then just write the text that's in that button into there. That's, wow, early. Yeah, so the weekend streams I try to do at 11 a.m. and then I try to run for at least 2 hours. I think last weekend we did close to 4. I don't know if we'll hit that length today. We'll see kind of how the development flow goes. For the picture, you should take a picture of your model, then give it a green hue. See, yeah, that's hue? Oof. I'm not tired. I don't know why I can't speak words correctly. Yeah, I like that. And I'll talk a little bit more about my intention for that process a little bit later on. But the issue with this, like, although just getting the text to appear is simple enough, the issue is persistence. Because I don't want like this to be the only place it's getting its information from. Ultimately, what I want to do is kind of even do like a more accurate representation of what's going on here, to where I have an actual database that persists across levels. And then when you write, oh, there we go, we'll do this again. When you choose a file, which in this case you are writing to a case study file here, what it's actually doing is it's saving that information in a persistent location, and then this display that the player sees is just reading the information from that persistent state. Kind of just like you're saving it to a disk drive, and this monitor is just displaying information from there. This way, on multiple level loads, because this information will persist across multiple levels, or save files. That way all I have to do is save this structure. I don't need to save the state of each of these screens, because each of these screens populate themselves from this file here. You're about to sleep? At 11 in the morning? What time is it for you? Good night, Raph. Have a good one, I guess. Yeah, I responded to the... Oh, unless there was new stuff in game design. Oh, there's a lot of just yap going on here. Oh, RE9, I think is what you're talking about. That's a potential. I think I talked about this before, but part of the reason I think I didn't like Silent Hill is because when I play games, I don't typically just sit down for 2 hours at the end of the week and play it. I kind of go when I'm most feeling it, and sometimes that's only for like 15-30 minutes, which doesn't really lend itself super well to a live stream. I mean, a potential is I could just have OBS set up and hit record. But then I would have to get something set up to where I could just get it to record as I'm sitting in like my living room or something. Because that's kind of like, you know, playing a game at my desk isn't the same as just like sitting back and relaxing a bit and enjoying it. Yeah, that's what I was saying, a potential video. Like, set something up to where I could record it, and then like even if I just play for 15 minutes, I could just stop it and then pick it back up again and splice them together. So you're not going to take the day off? It comes out on the 28th, right? It's like a Wednesday or something. Let me open up the calendar. Oh, it comes out on a Saturday, I think. RE Requiem release date. 27th. So it comes out on a Friday. Now where was I at here? Oh, doing this, I started to prototype something with this, and I think I can pull it up and show you. Because, to save persistent data, you usually use a game instance. And here I thought, well, if I just write all of this information into my, like the Hunter AI character itself, then that is kind of what I'll use to just contain that information. But then, um, trying to pursue that a little bit more doesn't make a lot of sense because, let me show you guys this. These Hunter AI characters, even though I can make an array of them, they're not always going to exist at one time, especially not all on the same level. And I could, like, cheese it and just have them respawn off screen, but that's just, there's not really a point in that, and that's just not the best way of doing that. So, the ideal here is to have some kind of constructor. And so that would look something like this. Let's create a new. Whoops. Create new. And so when an enemy is spawned, and like, couple things too, to kind of explain the full process here. This is the base class of the Hunter characters and the controller. These two work together interchangeably to make kind of just one entity, one actor, but the character is the one that actually gets spawned. The controller is just, I believe, a subset of it, but they work hand in hand. And so, for instance, the character is where I would store, like, the behavior data of the AI, or of the entity. And so, from that parent class, what did I do? Hold on. Hit Control Z, but it didn't work. It did OBS Control Z. From that parent class, I derive multiple different minor classes, and so, or I guess children classes. So one of them might be, mostly it's just going to be the model that's going to change, right? So one for Mari, maybe one for like the leech monster design I had, and then one subclass for each monster design. That might even just change to having it still just be one master class, and then just having it switch within it based on what design it is, and then just have it reference the correct model. Maybe that's going to be easier long term and like scalability. That's something I'm going to have to try out a little bit. But the idea basically is this, to where when the level starts, it's determined procedurally which monster variation it's going to be. From there, if it's the first time that this is spawned, it's generated its own unique seed. And then it kind of, through the same procedural stuff, through this seed, generates its behavior traits and like its model variations, etc., etc. Then when the level is done, and well, this entire time too, it's writing this to the structure that contains this information of it. So this entire time, when this level is done, this doesn't exist anymore. When I want to read information about it, I don't need this to exist in the level. I can just read from the structure that this was saved into. When I want to spawn it again, so let's say the player goes back to the level where this entity was, it will spawn a new one, but rather than spawning it as a fresh instance of it, it'll see that it was already created before. So rather than creating a whole new seed, it'll go and pull this information from the structure and load it. So essentially there are two different ways that it'll spawn. One is a fresh spawn, one is a loaded spawn. And And a lot of yap in chat. Let me read this and catch up. Poitzo, hello. Good to see you. Yeah, it's been a minute. So all of that to say is I need to figure out what I want to keep in this structure, how to implement this structure. I think it needs to be its own C++ file, and I think I do want to make it in C++. I'll see what it looks like in blueprints in Unreal Engine directly. If it's simple enough, I might just end up using that. I thought at first maybe I only need the seed, since all of the other information will be generated out of that. But because some things change from when the entity is first created to when it is then unloaded, like maybe how much health it has, or what maybe room position it might be in, then that will also have to be written. I think... Okay, the behavior itself won't need to be rewritten again, but the behaviors that the player have selected for it will need to be written, even if they're not accurate. You know what I'm talking about? What are you talking about? So let's try to make a string table. I don't know where to keep structures in this. I would assume it's under, like, miscellaneous? That's a data table. I don't even know if they're called the same thing. I do feel like it is... The blueprint? Structure, okay. We'll take a look at that in a sec. I also want to see what a data table is, so we'll make one of those. I put it away. I was out because I was doing the spring cleaning, and that's why it had come up. So not today. What is a data layer? A data asset? Okay. Create a simple asset that stores data related to a particular system in an instance of this class. Oh, I like that. Assets can be made in the content browser using any native class that inherit from this. If you want data inheritance or a complicated hierarchy, data-only blueprint classes should be created instead. If you want data inheritance or a complicated hierarchy. Well, let's see what this is. Oh. Hunter. Nope. Pick class for data asset instance. Oh, good point. Daisy's not online. Primary asset label. So it's asking me to pick a data class. I don't have one of those. Let's hold on. Maybe I have to make one. Data layer, data table. Pick a row structure. You guys can't see all these like weird menus I'm in. There we go. Like, this might be, it looks like there are a handful of ways to do this, which is scary because I have to read into what each one is and compare them, which is not really a good thing to do on stream. So let's at least look at what the structure has for us. Okay. Okay, this isn't too bad. New user defined struct. So like, let's say I had C or an integer. And then this was the seed. And then I want to add a new one. And then for my hunter traits, these are within the hunter class. I might want to detach this, make it its own enum. Like its own class so I can reference it outside of hunter, I think. Let's see. If I type hunter, I don't think it'll show up. Oh, nice, it does. Hunter traits, we make this an array. We call this traits. We make a new one. We call this one player observations, which is also the hunter trait. And I think that's it. I'm trying to think what else would we need. This one. The description, the details, and the image, all of that would just be from the... Oh, but we want to... No, we would want this also. So let's go ahead and add... description... Text. Details. Also a text. And then, not profile image. What would I call this? What did I call it here? I didn't give it any name. Image. I feel like it's gonna be texture 2D. How do I... Alright guys, chill out. Stop sharing and requesting personal information of each other. This also doesn't need to be an array. Time to Google what the best way to store an image in a struct would be. It is saying texture 2D. Oh, it says a soft pointer. Doesn't force load the texture into memory, safe to store and save games, survives level transitions, cleaner for notebook style UI. Oh, that one wasn't Daisy. I didn't get a report on that one. I'm doing pretty good. I think this will work. The issue with this is like, I mean, we're at 0 viewers, it says, so a lot of people have dipped. This is not good stream content, so this might be a much shorter stream than even I was initially thinking. But I did want to talk about some game design stuff, because I mentioned it at the top of the stream, and that's, did your coffee have enough sugar today? I've been switching. Been trying to have less coffee, so I had tea instead. But I'm still pretty awake. But the issue is, right now I'm quiet because I'm Googling things about structures and what the best thing to use is, which isn't the best use of stream time. Poppy Playtime Chapter 5 came out, and a lot of people hate it. Some people like it. I think it depends on how you watched it. If you played it, I think the general consensus is it wasn't good. If you watched someone else play it, I think the general consensus is that it was good. And I think there's a lot to unpack with that. And so I wanted to talk about that a little bit today, since trying to build this structure doesn't seem like it's a good fit for a Saturday stream. And that people tend to consistently agree that it has good visuals, it has good animation, it has good story for what the story is. Now, I'll say I'm definitely not the target demographic for the game, but I still think it's fun. I think it's interesting. But listening to a lot of people talk about it, and that's a lot of what I was doing yesterday evening, is watching a lot of different reactions to the game's primary antagonist, to the game's gameplay mechanics, and kind of wanted to unpack that a little bit. So one, I think, has to do with a lot of the mechanics, to where it kind of has like this moment of action where there's a lot going on. So like action and story, and like the pacing feels good, even if there's no action or story, they still like have a good pace. And then it kind of leads into just like this puzzle section, which I think can be done well, but the way it kind of comes across is more just like filler. It's a lot of the puzzles just don't seem all that satisfying. And I think a lot of that has to kind of do with like either their core mechanics or just level design itself. I don't really know what it is that, like, how do you address something like that? And then it usually kind of just goes back into one another too. If you want to hear someone really crash out about it, if you watch like the last 5 minutes of Markiplier's 5-hour stream yesterday, he just goes off, and it's kind of refreshing to hear someone just very bluntly say what they're feeling. But I think that kind of criticism is always good to try to unpack. And it's that kind of pitfall I want to make sure that I don't fall into. So when it comes to kind of what is the gameplay flow that I want to implement, I need to make sure that I'm not wasting the player's time with it. Which I think a lot of the playtesting is going to help resolve a bit. But I'm losing track of my thought process here. What are you looking forward to test in your demo? Ultimately, how intuitive is the game at introducing the player to my core mechanic? And how intuitive does it feel, even when they are familiar with it? And everything kind of rides on that, right? If I can't tweak that enough to get it to feel good, then I'm going to run into the same issue Poppy Playtime has, where even if everything else surrounding it feels good, the gameplay itself is just going to kind of fall short. Now, it's not like this is coming out of thin air, the gameplay concept. It's drawing some ideas from stuff like Phasmophobia and like other research investigative games like Demonologist. But it's a unique version of that, kind of blended with a little bit of observation duty and some of the more exploratory parts of like the classic Resident Evil games. So I don't know how well those are all going to blend together. I'm hoping in a way that I can let be consistent. I think you really need to make the puzzles kind of funny. Oh, how so? I don't really know what you mean by that. Who's playing it? I spent 6 hours being tortured by Poppy. I think what I need to do... Hey, username, how's it going? We're talking about Poppy Playtime. And Chapter 5 came out, and a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people that do like it because the animation is good, the story is good, and I think they really like the characters a bit, because that's something they've always gotten pretty well, or they've always kind of nailed. I think something that I need to do is study the games that I'm really trying to pull inspiration from. I think I need to go back into Resident Evil 2, like the classic one. That also goes back to like sound design, because I think that hits a very nostalgic chord for me, and I think that'll help me kind of form my own style, both in art direction and also just audio. I saw a really good video the other day where someone was kind of dissecting it, and they found like a lot of the same sound fonts that were used in the original game. And that's something I kind of want to toy around in and see like how close can I get to something that feels nostalgic and yet unique. I want to make sure I didn't miss thing. Okay, I didn't see Nibble say anything else. I think I'm in a lucky enough position where, because anytime I develop something new and something somewhat functional, I usually rope all of you guys into it. And even though this is a much smaller subset than the amount of people playing a massive game like Poppy, it's kind of that consistent feedback loop helps me stay a little bit more grounded, and I'm thankful to have it. Although it's difficult when there isn't anything to show, and it's just kind of me sitting and yapping at the screen trying to explain these ideas. REs in multiplayer, though, you really need a fun, silly, though. I don't know if that was typed correctly. Element. Oh yeah, I see what you're talking about. Kind of like what Lethal Company and Repo did. Hmm. I had ideas for that at first too. Um, Especially like when it came to watching your friends in the camera as they're exploring the mansion as you hide in the truck outside, or I guess the train in this case, and then like watching them being hunted, kind of. Um, but the thing with like Repo and Lethal Company is those are very fast-paced games compared to something like Phasmophobia, which I feel is a little less silly and is also slower paced. So I don't know how well something fun and silly fits into something so slower paced. Resident Evil does kind of do it. Like, if you're familiar with that franchise, especially Resident Evil 4, they're goofy all the time. I think you should be able to mess with your friends a little bit. Okay. I mean, that's not really something I'd consider too much, but you might be onto something with that. And if any of you are on Twitch, by the way, I dual stream on YouTube, so if you see me reading chat messages, I'm bouncing back and forth between the two sites. The other thing with Poppy that I saw people were kind of disappointed in is, it was not disappointed, but it was kind of mixed. It was, there was this, I don't want to do spoilers in case anyone's watching this, they haven't, and they're trying to stay spoiler free from Poppy. Um, there was like this big reveal that they'd been building up since, chapter one. And the issue is that for some people they're like, "Oh man, that's so cool." For other people they're like, "Oh, that was it? That's what they built up all the hype for?" And so when it comes to like the way that I was taught this is it's like what they did in the movie Jaws, right? You build up the monster by not showing them immediately. Something like Final Fantasy VII also does this with like Sephiroth. And that's like an old reference, and I don't know if there's any old heads here like that. But I think you get to a point where you fall into the same pitfall that Valve did with Half-Life 3, is that even unintentionally, you can build things up too much to the point where no matter what you come out with, it's not gonna, like, the anticipation is more exciting than the thing itself. Hey, OMS. We're talking about Poppy. I don't know if you've caught up with the last chapter, but um, there's a lot I think I can kind of dissect from a game design perspective. So we're chatting about it a little bit because it's had some mixed reception online. I'll also say that I'm definitely not in the target demographic for it, but I still enjoy it and I still like it for what it is. You already played it and uploaded a vid. What did you think of it? For reference, I watched Instant play the whole thing, and he liked it a lot. He said it's probably one of his favorites of all five. And some context there, though. He plays a bunch of indie horror games. He plays multiple a day. And so he's already kind of been exposed to like the worst of the worst when it comes to indie horror slop. And so when he played Poppy and it ran well, it looked good. The animations were awesome. The voice acting was awesome. It's like, hey, this is like concise. This is consistent. In my opinion, I thought it was amazing, and you're excited for Chapter 6. I'm glad to hear that. Kind of talking about like what a lot of people didn't like. And I don't want to like talk too negatively about it, especially because people are excited about it, and I don't like ruining people's excitement. The puzzles, people felt like were slow. and a lot of the chase sequences were weird. That's another thing too, is I want to make sure that I'm not putting my players in a situation where I expect them to die, where I expect them to fail. Maybe get close, but not downright expecting to fail. One of the things, or one of the ways to like make things easier on the player that I'm pretty happy with is like when you're in a terminal, and this isn't exactly related, but I look back on some of my experience with like Fears to Fathom or any other game where you're in a terminal like this, and when something else happens that catches your attention, like you're being chased all of a sudden, or there's a loud monster in the room with you, your instinct in reality is to pull back. It doesn't matter what's on that monitor anymore. You're leaving. But a lot of games, if you want to get out of the monitor, you have to like back out, press escape, then hit the escape button, and then you're finally able to move around again. Here, I want the controls to reflect how would the player actually move in this situation. And instinctually, I would expect the player to like start walking back. And so, no matter what like either inventory or UI you're in, the moment you start walking and moving again, it kicks you back out into movement mode, into walking around and kind of exploring. Yeah, there were some confusing parts in the chase scenes, but you figured it out eventually. Yeah, I think, and I don't know if you saw like Markiplier's reaction, because he was I watched Insum first, he really liked it, then at the same time, Mark was live right when I was finishing it, and I watched over to see what his final thoughts were. He did not, he hated it. And the general consensus was, even from like people super into it, like Jack, were mixed. The part where you have to find the dolls was painful, and it took like an hour and a half to find the place the book Miss Hare gave you. Oh, really? I didn't know you had a hard time with that. Yeah, I guess it wasn't super intuitive. The person I was watching found it pretty quickly. And I think another thing, and we might even do this right now, is take a step into how does Capcom introduce the player to Resident Evil 2, which I think is where a lot of my game is going to be pulling inspiration from both Resident Evil 1 and RE2. I think RE2 has a much faster start than Resident Evil 1. And so, am I the only one who hasn't played Poppy Playtime at all? No, there's a lot of people who haven't. It's a big thing. And so when the big thing hits the algorithm, everything is just that. How are you going to make it not boring? Well, that's an amazing question, right? Just sitting and studying, you know, like monsters. I think the idea is that, and let's step into a game that I think will do it well. That does this kind of gameplay well. I don't have RE2 available at the drop of a hat, even though that's the one I would have preferred to jump into right now. But let's look at how Resident Evil 1 starts and some of the gameplay there, because it's been a while since I visited it. I think it was like 2 years ago since I last played it. And I think it'll also kind of give a better understanding of how I want my gameplay to go, because the observation part is more so the something that kind of happens as the gameplay is going. I don't know how to word this correctly. Like, it's your consistent objective, but it's not always at the forefront of your mind. Where's my chat? Hold on. I need to take care of something on Twitch. Poppy playtime with Cursor Lineage. Do a Hello Kitty Island adventure gameplay. I'm good. I think I'll pass on that. Also, I hope this doesn't kill my internet. As I'm downloading this. He'll add Subway Surfers into the bottom. Well, the idea is that it's meant to be more exploratory and more like the gameplay of Resident Evil. But if you want to sit back and explore using the monitors, that's an option, but it's also not safe. And so I think we should kind of pull back a little bit into like one of the first levels we had. It's where you had something like this. You had your courtyard. And then you have kind of this secure place where the player is, and then these are where the monitors are. So this is the courtyard. And then this is the mansion. So this is the foyer, the ballroom, and then some of the connected rooms. So as we're going to be going into Resident Evil 1 here in a minute, and then they'll throw us at the beginning into a situation like this. Where we're going to be entering is kind of how I want the structure of this part to go. And while the player's exploring, because again, I mentioned that it is slow paced. You won't immediately have information to work with. It's not going to be apparent. You have to go in and explore and open new rooms, solve more puzzles, give yourself room to work with. And then slowly over time, you have more and more interactions with this entity. And the longer you're there, the more interactions you get. Again, I'm very not good at explaining a lot of this, especially today. I don't know why. I just not feeling it. Like the stream just isn't hitting for me. It's an off day, I guess. But even when it came to like this, I really didn't have a good way of explaining how these terminals work until I finally got it into the game. So now I can be like, yeah, look, you click on the screen and it shows up on that second one. Here you scroll down, you click an observation, and then it shows up on whichever file you apply it to. That took like, what, a paragraph to describe? As opposed to me trying to like draw it out in GIMP over the course of like 10, 15 minutes. So, let's do this. Does this have mouse and keyboard support? I don't know if it does. I would assume it does. Give me just a sec. Alright, I have to add a new capture for this. There we go. I have, but thank you. Wait, so.
Resident Evil.
And let me change category on Twitch. Resident Evil. I'm gonna pin this. If people come in, they're not confused, because I did not make this game. Controls. Use original, because that's what I'm used to. We'll keep subtitles on. Their difficulty is also interesting. Yeah, I was kind of. It just didn't. It's not a great industry to be in, especially not right now. Did you make this game? Yeah, it's awesome. Like climbing a mountain, filling but takes a lot of work. We'll play as Jill. Because hers is easier.
Alpha Team is flying around the forest zone, situated in northwest Raccoon City, where we are searching for the helicopter of our compatriots.
This intro doesn't take too long, so we'll watch it.
Disappeared during the middle of their mission. Bizarre murder cases have recently occurred in Raccoon City. There are outlandish reports of families being attacked by a group of about 10 people. Victims were apparently eaten. The Bravo team was sent in to investigate, but we lost contact.
Look, Chris.
Bravo team's helicopter was a derelict. Save for the remaining body of Kevin. We continued our search for the other members, and it turned into a nightmare.
Honestly, that's kind of cozy. Forest. Damn, his voice act. Search ran his voice acting career would come up. I don't know if that's how that works. There's also live narrations. Oh! Can you do the voice of the Fallout robot? I've never played Fallout, so I don't know who that is.
Chris, this way.
Amazing voice acting. Luna's trying to become a voice actor, so she shows me her work. All the luck to her. It's a tough industry, but I'm sure it's rewarding and fun. Say beep boop. There you go. That'll be $29.99. Enter the survival horror.
There are only 3 STARS members left now. Captain Wesker, Barry, and myself. We don't know where Chris is.
What is this place?
Can you deepen your voice? Not by a whole lot.
Hey, Wesker, where's Chris?
Jill, no.
Jill, no.
Out there.
But we've got to find...
What was that? Chris?
No.
Jill, go and investigate.
I'm going with her. Chris and I go back a long way.
All right. You two go. I'll secure this area.
Stay sharp. dining room.
The only movement is the silent flicker of the candle's flame.
I think you'd better take a look at this.
What is it?
Guys, you're gonna want to see this.
Blood.
I hope this isn't Chris's blood.
Jill, see if you can find any other clues. I'll be examining this.
What's there to examine?
Not Chris's.
So we're still kind of on, like, rails at this point. Like, we have a very set path. Kind of, when we get back to the foyer is kind of around where I'm imagining to scope things around. Yeah, I'm good.
Barry!
What is it?
Look out! It's a monster!
Let me take care of it. What the hell is this thing?
I found Kenneth killed by this thing. Let's
I mean, to be fair, Basti, it's a game from 1998. So, makes sense that not everyone's gonna vibe with it. So this is something worth noting. They just kind of throw text on screen to explain things, and that was something that I'd kind of gone back and forth on debating. Like, do I have the tutorial explain things kind of in world, or do I kind of like not break the fourth wall, but kind of like step outside the game for a bit and be like, this is how you use this mechanic. I feel like this direct approach is probably cleaner. Especially since I don't know, and I don't have enough experience of game development to probably do the other way flawlessly enough.
Wesker! Jill, help me look for him. But let's not leave this hall.
Good idea.
So we're almost finally off the the on rails part. What if I extract voice lines from your streams for a game? How much would you charge? I don't know.
Barry,
Any luck?
I guess it depends on what you would want
nothing.
or want
What's
to
going
use
on
them
around
for.
here? I can't figure it out.
Same here.
Chris and now Wesker.
There's not much we can do. We can search for him separately. I'll investigate the dining room again.
Okay then, I'll try the door on the other side.
This mansion is gigantic. We could easily get lost. Let's start from the first floor.
Okay.
Oh, I almost forgot. It's a lockpick. You'd make better use of it.
I may need it.
Listen, if something happens, let's meet up in this hall. Got it?
Okay.
Alright, I'm going to make a save of this part here. So if I ever want to come back to like the beginning of this game, kind of skip all that intro stuff, we have one. There we go. Okay. So kind of, and let's see, we have a map, right? Yeah, okay. So the way that I'm envisioning a lot of the gameplay stuff for my thing to work, and let's see if we can jump back and forth flawlessly. Okay. So this map is almost exclusively for the tutorial. When we get a little bit more complete, it'll look a little bit more like what I'd drawn up in GIMP, to where this is meant to be the mansion, but then in front of it is kind of a gizmo of the courtyard, and then underneath that is kind of that access point. Think like the truck or the spaceship in Lethal Company or Repo. And so the tutorial is to set you up with what is your objective. Your objective is you're about to go into a place to try to study a monster. And the tutorial is meant to show you how do you do that study mechanic. The rest of the game is, well, the rest of the game. It's more focused on exploration and puzzles. And even in that scenario, you can... Oh, I can't click on these because I'm not playing it. The idea is when you get into that environment, you can still see the cameras before you go in. You can still look at the rooms, but at this point, there's not a whole lot for you to do until you get in there. Because maybe some cameras are offline, some may be disconnected, etc. That's something I'll have to think about more in depth as a game designer. And so kind of taking that back to here, let's say that we're playing and we just step into the mansion after looking at the cameras, and now we're here. No immediate threat, right? We're just kind of on our own. It's quiet, it's empty, and we're just exploring a bit. Maybe some like casual hints at where it might be, like this, for instance. I think this will do something. Wonder what's on the other side of this door. There are octagonal indentations to the right and the left of the door, but it's locked. So again, slow paced, right? You can't really immediately do your objective the moment you get in here. Kind of like how in this case, Jill's objective is to leave. But we can't leave, or right now I think it's to find Chris and Wesker. In my design, it's a little different. You have to find the antagonist. You have to find the entity. And so you kind of start by exploring. And then when you explore, things get updated on your map. So all of these doors here are locked. This one I can go into. And I think I can also go into the door on the right there. I think I can also get a map of the entire place from down there. Some more brutal honesty. I think you're thinking too big. I think your first focus for a playtest is what is the actual mechanics and what's going to make it fun. Not hypothetically, but what you're actually going to do. Yeah, and maybe, like, for the playtest, it's not even meant, like, I go back and forth. Is the playtest meant to demonstrate anything, or is it meant to test the mechanics and just have something that exists? because a lot of it is building a framework that can kind of build off of each other. Like when we looked at the like these maps, building off of this now is much simpler and much quicker. When I add a new room and I assign it to a new place, it's automatically added there. So I kind of, it's hard to describe, and maybe I am thinking about this incorrectly. I'd never want to just think that I'm always on the right course, because I think oftentimes I'm not. There are also oftentimes where I am. But I think, let me read that again. And what's going to make it, focus on what's going to make it fun. I think doing a subset of what the mansion exploration would be is going to kind of be the good middle ground there. Because I think that is really going to be where a lot of the core of the game is. Not just the mansion exploration, but also the investigation phasmophobia part of it. And it also very well might be that because it's such an undercooked, not just idea, but product right now, that I'm just can't string together the right words to explain how it'll move. But then again, I've also made things in the past that just also don't land correctly. That might not also be it either. Make it exist first. Yeah, I think that's a good point. And I'm happy with the progress that's being made. I'm happy with the mechanics that are done and working. But until it's all kind of together, you're really not. I'm really not going to get a clear image of how it feels or how it looks, especially to other people, until I get to that point. So I'm not trying to justify like bad decisions, but I'm trying to, I guess, I don't know. I think letting it cook a little bit more into having something that I think may work, and then adjusting it and fine-tuning it from there before it really starts to be developed too much in a direction that just doesn't work or doesn't fit, is ideally going to be the best approach with this. I think you need to be able to describe in detail what you are going to implement. I agree with you on that one. Before it unexists last is even wiser. I think once you have enough to make a video on it, you should start making it fun. It's me being product focused. Yeah, well, to be clear, I very much appreciate the direct honesty, because that's how you prevent things like Concord. Like, that's how you prevent things from being made that just aren't of quality in any way. Last thing I want to do is make something in an echo chamber. But I feel like I'm not quite at a point yet where I can even make the sound that's meant to echo, even if I am in an echo chamber. So until a lot of... I think I've always been show, don't tell. Like, even when it came to like those 4 monitors, I don't think I'd ever actually done a good explanation of how those work together until they existed and I could show it. I think it's easier to have big ideas that don't actually get made. I think the cutout piece of it that I have planned for like this first half of the year is feasible, and kind of expanding it into something like this, you guys can't see my mouse, isn't as big or difficult or grandiose as it is, because what we're seeing here is just, you know, an accumulation of rooms. That room architecture already exists. The map layout and level designer, that already exists. Not in any way that's perfect. And then the pieces that pull it all together need to be made still. Like, all the connective tissue isn't done. But adding new rooms and combining it together, a lot of that I do think is in scope. And the part of it, too, is I'm just having fun working on it. So even if this is something that I keep building off of, as long as I continue to just want to add things to it and continue to have fun and work towards something releasing, I think that's ultimately where I want to be. I think Livid's in the same, in a similar position. Like, he's really having fun just enjoying building that world of his, like the spaceship that he was working on. I still want it to be developed sometime before the end of the decade. Would you like me to chill out a bit? No. You're doing fine. I appreciate the realism. I appreciate keeping me grounded. I'm sure, Basti. So I guess this is a good time to ask the question. So looking at this map, if you are in this position where we are now in this game, and let's pretend like you're here, but it's not Resident Evil, right? Your task is to explore this environment to find a dangerous monster so that you can study it. You see that there are a lot of doors that are locked. You already understand that there are like smaller puzzles that you'll have to do within each room, clues that you'll have to find before you even get to the entity necessarily. As a gameplay concept, how, like, what's that interest level in you? And I guess I should say, if you don't like the original Resident Evil games, you probably won't like the one that I'm trying to cook up. And so the reason that there's obviously nothing moving on screen is because we're not playing RE right now. We're more like dissecting it. I'm trying to like use it in place of having things finished on my engine, on my project. So do we play RE2 now? I don't, I would want to play the original, and I don't have the emulator set up for it. We'll get off this thing. And so I'll play for a bit more also, just to, because this is also a game I love a lot. But also if this is anyone's first exposure to it, I really want a lot of my core gameplay, a lot of the base game, to feel a lot like this and look a lot like this. If the puzzles are good. Yeah, right? And that's a massive if, because that's that's where Poppy Playtime fell short. Like, if those puzzles were good, that was like the only thing that they were missing. And the other thing too that I constantly go back and forth with is, I don't think you can just drop a player in a room and say, there's a puzzle in this room and you can't leave this room until the puzzle is done. You should like hint and tease at things like this. A picture of two knights striking each other. The short sword has been thrust into the breast of one knight, while the long sword has pierced the head of the other. And that's it. It doesn't ask you anything else. It doesn't prompt you anything else. That's all it says. And then you go here. When the two have run each other through, the path to your destiny will open. It's like, okay, these two objects are in the same frame. There's clearly something going on here yet, but because I can't interact with these in any other way, I just need to remember that this exists. And if I find something later on that might fit the description, that might kind of fit the same thematic elements that we're seeing in this frame right here, I'll know that I should come back to it. That, I think, is good puzzle design. Not like, oh, I gotta look up, and then there's a magic, electrical switch that I can hit. And then when I pull that down, this opens magically. Same thing with this, right? There's an indentation where the emblem used to be. And I think I can even, like, open up my inventory, if I can figure out how to use this inventory. And I can put it back. Why would I need to put it back? Nothing happens when I do that. Nothing happens when I take it. So again, it's setting up things. The conclusion of whatever is going to happen will clearly be here. But I don't have everything I need for this puzzle yet. And so I got to keep exploring. And meanwhile, that isn't even our objective. Our objective is to find Chris. You're going to need to playtest puzzles to see if they're good, exactly. I think he's fine. I don't think we need to mess with him. The corpse of your comrade, Kenneth. It looks like he's holding something. It's a film that belonged to Kenneth. I need a video player to see what's recorded on it. An eerie picture of the mansion decorates the wall. And the other thing too, and this is something I think both Resident Evil does really well, Silent Hill, and even Poppy, is like, while puzzles or action or combat isn't actively happening, the set piecing in the environment itself still helps not only set the mood, but also like tell part of an ongoing story. I'll pick this up. Yeah, I've definitely made some not great puzzles in my day. Make no mistake. Oh boy. I remember this being a thing. Are all of these locked? Okay, no, straight ahead of me is not locked. I liked your Lisa game. I think your puzzles had potential. Yeah, that game also, I mean, that's, let's open up the map because that's more interesting to look at while I chat. I mentioned this right when I dropped it, that there was a lot more that I wanted to build on top of that just wasn't ready in time for Halloween. And ultimately, that's a failure on my part. I didn't, to your point, Nibble, I didn't plan things out in a way that was feasible, but things kept coming up in my personal life that were taking away from development time. And the second thing, too, is that I kind of self-imposed a timeline. Whereas if what I'm working on isn't in a place that feels good by June 7th, I'll just push it back. Because I want it to feel complete and good by the time it comes out. I really like the environment and tension, etc. Like, just the environment was unsettling. I'm glad to hear that. And there were a lot of ideas I had to play into that, and some other gameplay mechanics that I had like half cooked up, that kind of in the situation where we are now, they weren't fully finished, even though I would consider them in a state where they were working. And if it wasn't fully finished, you really can't just throw it in, because then it confuses people. Like just have one desk out of place, etc. So I'm glad that you enjoyed, and I think I do want to go back and finish that and correct it and kind of go back to the original vision. Maybe even when we get closer to this year's Halloween time, I can kind of bring that back to the vision that I had for it. Because there are still some like game-breaking bugs in it also. The issue that I'll have with my stuff is that because it's procedurally generated, I need to think, well, how can I do puzzles that exist beyond the walls of their room that can be worked into a procedurally generated map? No, focus on one thing. Yeah, fair enough. So here's another cool puzzle thing. Like, oh, I found a key finally. Oh. Alright. Put it back. So here, I know what the solution to this puzzle is. I need to Indiana Jones replace this key. But looking at my inventory, I've got nothing that'll fit in there. I could try to use my knife, or like try to force my like these herbs into it, or maybe this. But I can tell you right now, using any of these isn't going to work. And so, kind of going back to how do I get procedural puzzle design to work? And let's go to this. This goes back to the level generator that we talked about. In that, if this room... Oh, you guys can't see my mouse. Let me see if I can fix that. If this room was here, next to this gallery room, instead of here to the left, would that puzzle still feel the same? I think it would. And so what the level generator does is I handcraft rooms, and within those rooms I handcraft puzzles, like the ones that we're seeing here. But the one thing I don't handcraft is where they are attached to. I'll add some logic to it, like if you have a dining room, one of the connecting rooms should be a hallway. If you have a bedroom, you shouldn't connect it to like, you know, the dining room or the ballroom. You should connect it to a hallway or a bathroom or maybe some other side room. And there's this, the idea is that I will have this whole list, this whole set of rooms that the level generator will grab. It'll start from the foyer and it'll say, there's a door spot here. I can add a room here. I will pick a room that has puzzles loaded into it, and I will assign it to this spot. And then it goes on to the next slot, and so on and so forth. And that, I think, is something that will not just work, but I think it'll feel good. It'll give me... So an emblem of a helmet is carved into the lock. It'll also give me control over what the puzzles look like, over how the puzzles feel in the room that they're in. As opposed to how most procedurally generated levels are made. So think of something like in Repo. They have a certain theme and a certain consistency between the hallways and the rooms, but a lot of the consistency is thematic and set piecing, not so much consistency in terms of like progression. And in making procedural levels like that, you lose a little bit of control as a designer. Not to say that I don't think it works in those games. In fact, I think anything else wouldn't work as well. But with kind of this overarching design where it's very exploring heavy, very puzzle heavy, I need to be very careful and I need to be very specific about how I want to implement these things. I think all of these rooms are locked. Other side. What is this? Sure. Oh, I'm almost dead. I don't remember how to, like, kick people off. I think it's just, like, spamming the keyboard. Locked from the other side. If this is also locked, I'm kind of out of luck. There we go. What do you like about the RE games? I like the atmosphere. I like the puzzles. And I like how... Oh, we're in a zombie land. I like how the puzzles aren't... Or I like how the puzzles feel. This entire map is just a very long series of puzzles. It's essentially an escape room. If you've never done an escape room in real life before, I highly recommend it. Try to find a good one if you can. Because, yes, like, that fireplace, or that clock puzzle with the painting, yeah, that's a puzzle in and of itself. But what it ends up giving me is also probably a piece to another puzzle somewhere else. And I like exploring, I like figuring things out, I like getting something, whether that's information or an item or a key, and then thinking, I feel like I've seen this somewhere before. Where did I see this? Where can I use this? Where am I meant to use this? And then going and figuring out, oh, it's the painting in the dining room. That's what this reminds me of. And then if I fail, oh man, okay, it's something else, maybe I can't use it yet. But if I succeed, that feels really good. And I think Resident Evil is really good at that, up until like Resident Evil 5. And then even Silent Hill, up until Silent Hill 2 was really good at that also. Do you have ideas for your puzzles? Yeah, I have a handful of them written down in an old document I have. I definitely need to go back to them and revise them a bit. And well, I think, let's see if we can pull that up quickly. I don't know if I still have it on this computer, because I did switch computers a while back. That might have been before. I think this is it. A lot of these I have just aren't very good puzzles that I have written down. I know I'm not sharing it right now, but I don't really have an easy way to switch to this, and there's not too much substance here. I have one about a piano, which I kind of somewhat implemented in the other one, in the Halloween game. So, like, here's one. There's, like, a pool room, right? Like an indoor room with a pool, and it's dirty or muddy. And maybe inside of it is either a message or information or a key item. Like, maybe there are, like, zombies inside of it. So exploring without cleaning it first has risk. But then there's, like, okay, well, what if there's a storage room that acts like a water control room? Maybe one for the greenhouse or one for the pool. This will also allow the player to introduce chemicals to the water. So maybe something flammable that'll kill plants for whatever reason, pesticides to kill bugs, chlorine to kill water, etc. Those are just like spark notes that I'd written down. And so I feel like when I get to that point, like that's the point of development that I think I can just keep adding things. I can just keep making new rooms, I can keep making new puzzles, and I can add on to this without too much overhead. And by that I mean, as soon as I come up with a new puzzle, I can either add it to an existing room or make a new room. And I don't need to do anything else. Because by virtue of making that new room, it's automatically added to the new room list that the level generator can grab. And so we'll go ahead and we're about to wrap up here, probably a little bit earlier than the 2 hours I thought. But if we go back to Unreal Engine, or more specifically C++, if we look at how I've defined my rooms, there's a whole list of different information that the room object has in and of itself. Room placements, sure, but also different traits that the room has. Now, this is very, very basic. It's something that I can expand on. But by creating children of these room classes, it automatically is something that this level generator, which is over here, has access to. So it's easy for me to expand off of. And making puzzles, I think, is going to be probably one of the most fun parts I'll have in this design process. But I can't get ahead of myself, I think. It's definitely fun to think about. The slow, quiet pace translate to co-op. I agree with you. And before I end Resident Evil, let's go back. There's one more thing I did want to show. What did I pick up, though? I can't remember where I go next. I'm also low on health. I'm pretty sure going to the right is locked. I also don't want to fight anything. Emblem of a sword. Oh, he's over there. Oh, that's the thing I can do. Let's kite him. I want to get to a save room. Because, ooh, I'll take that. That's another thing, too. Like, being able to find an item shouldn't be a puzzle in and of itself. If it's something the player is meant to pick up, make it easy for them to find and pick up. Like, it flashed at me. Yeah, the swords don't flash and shimmy in real life, but suspension of disbelief. Okay, let's see if I can do this without getting got. Our friend, I think, is on his way. I'm hoping that he's far enough on that side. Okay, good. That I can just loop around like this. Having funny environmental nods and jokes will help keep it engaging. That's something I'll think on. I'll see, like, what could I get to work well. And I think the rest of these are locked, if I remember right. Yeah. Yeah, the worst is when you don't realize what the puzzle that you have to solve actually is. Yeah. Locked from the other side. I really want to see red jokes. Oh no. Oh yeah, the corpse tea party idea. That's true. That's a good one. To be fair, I don't think I'm the one who came up with that. I can't remember if that was someone else or not. I don't remember where to go. See, this is the part where, like, my own memory is working against me. Because I know that there are some things that are just a dead end. That I don't think are going to be super helpful to me right now. No, it was you. You hilarious, funny guy. Thank you. Arrowhead is made from peridot, sometimes referred to as poor man's emerald. Cool. Don't know where to use that. Thanks. Calling me poor. That was the only thing that we got, though. Oh, the idea is that if someone, like if a player dies and the entity finds it, there's a behavior trait that it might have where it grabs its corpse, pulls it to its favorite room, and puts it into, like, tea party attire. Alright. Oh. See, the other thing too, right? It showed me, oh, there's an indentation here. It didn't tell me, or didn't automatically put it in there. I had to remember that I have it. And then I can get in there. So I'm guessing this will give me an item in here. Book is perfectly infinite in the indentation. Oh! The mansion key. Please be health inside. Okay, no. It just gives me a hint to a puzzle. Sword key. I don't remember where a sword was needed. I don't know if I'll be able to make it back to the mansion alive. Run! We can analyze RE9 puzzles together. Alright, I'm gonna save. I was not expecting it to make it that far. There's still, like, I want to get to a save room to demonstrate. Because we talked about, like, how are we gonna get that calmness and, like, slower pace to work with multiple people. And there was a multiplayer RE game that wasn't 5, which was Outbreak. Which is kind of similar in gameplay, if I remember right, to, like, these older Resident Evil games. And I haven't played it. To be fair, maybe that's one I need to play on my own time. But I think it could work. Like having this slower paced exploration game. And that's something that I think is going to need a lot of tweaking, though, to feel just right. Also, what uses a sword? Let's go find out. Helmet. I think sword is upstairs. You know how camp they are? They are very funny. Sometimes unintentionally. Most of the times unintentionally. There we go. I think this takes me towards the save room. I like the movies too. They're not the best but I like them for what they are. Oh no, there's a homie here. Shit! Took all my bullets. There's still another one. Oh, it's gonna kill me. Oh, stab! Tomatoes! How are you doing? It's been a minute. I don't have room. I want to save room for health. Oh my goodness. It's been a while. How are you? I didn't want to take that. I've got no health. Bit stressed about the next week's demo release. How have you been? I've been good. Answer the question? Oh, I don't know. I don't swing either of those ways. What would you consider Nemesis? I will say though, both do those are all like goated characters though. Well, I've got no space now. I think the Duke was probably like a better written character, but like Nemesis or not Nemesis, Merchant is just classic. So many dudes. Oh, this is gonna kill me. The save room is like right there too. Okay, instead we're gonna Google like the cozy save room theme. Because in these old games, there's no autosave. Like, you die, you just get taken back to the main menu. Let's see if I can do this in a way that makes sense. There we go. So it's just like, there was a YouTube video someone did at some point that talked about like, just kind of safe places in horror games and how that's something that a lot of indie horror games miss. It's like this break from tension to where it's like when you're inside this one space here, you know that you're safe, like you've escaped things. If we'd made it out of that one staircase, we would have been here right now. But then it's like, in that same situation, you know that if you step outside, you have to step back outside into a mess. And so it's kind of like these two completely different feelings battling each other. Yeah, you need to build tension, create some emotional dynamics. Also, my friends started to work together to make a small fan game for a YouTuber. We're like, oh, that's so cool. Where's my mouse? There it is. But yeah, Tomatoes, I'm sure you're in maximum crunch time right now. Right now we're spending a little bit of time studying the first Resident Evil, to kind of pull some ideas together and to kind of explain some of the mechanics that I've been cooking up in my head. It's going to be 2D and Unreal, so I have no experience with. Good luck. Good luck. You are? Oh man. You can do it. You can pull through. I believe in you. Just this music also is just such a vibe. And before we wrap up today, because we are approaching about that 2-hour mark. I know I say that these weekend streams will usually be a bit longer, but I feel like a lot of the progress I need to make right now is a lot of just book stuff. And a lot of just this reading documentation and comparing different strategies is not really a good stream thing. So when it comes to sound design, this song is great. I think to kind of form something a little bit more, I guess not unique-ish. Like I guess something that has a little bit more character. I want something that sounds more like the Resident Evil 2 save room, which is this. We'll pause this, and this is the RE2 one, which is a little less upbeat. It's a little more melancholy. And I like it a little bit more, but also the just the sounds of it. Like the instruments themselves are also like, they're bit crunched. They're like, it's a soundtrack from a 1998 game. And I think going with that might be a good vibe. Give me just a sec as I try to pull up this video of some guy talking about this.
We need to get our money up. So then when I was getting
I love ads on YouTube. They're so good. This one. Ren's musical analysis. Just the sounds of it. Look, like how I got better with texturing and how I got better with Blender modeling architecture. I want to get better at modeling creatures and living things in Blender, so sculpting. And I want to get better at sound design and even, like, to some degree, music. I would really like to be able to do all of this game, like, have it all be created by me. But when it comes to the sound design, let's go back here. Why is this not? This guy. So he's recreating the sounds of Resident Evil 2 from 1998. So it's some software he found, but it's like a sound font that he found that matched it pretty closely. And I'll link to this video in just a sec. Let me actually do that now. Copy that. But Oh, you guys cannot hear that. And so let me also pull up like someone doing a piano cover of it too. So that way we can kind of just hear the difference between it.
Come on. Resident Evil, you're thinking save room. Right? I mean, come on. This is the Korg wave station. And this is pretty much the meat and potatoes, all right, of the sound.
Let me send the link.
Card 1, it's preset 0. Just basic piano 16, it's called. Check it out.
So something like that compared to like this piano cover I'm just randomly finding on YouTube. And this is a fantastic cover, by the way. Something about the hollowness of this one just feels different. No, I'm not playing anything. The link I sent is the link to this guy's channel. So that's something I want to explore a bit, because I think there's a lot to focus on when it comes to just like, I don't know, audio design and how it makes the, like, especially when it comes to the save room stuff. So we'll see. That's something I'll definitely explore at some point. I also don't know if that was loud enough, the audio I was playing. But either way, today's stream was kind of all over the place. Kind of a mess. A lot less of what I strive for, especially on these weekend streams. But I think a lot of it was just the result of where I'm at with development on the base game, and kind of just like the lack of cohesion I have in pulling a lot of these ideas together right now. So I'm gonna head out. Be sure to PayPal me $50 for complimenting your voice. You got it. Goodbye, this is a dope stream. Get to catch up with points, so yeah. Please think about taking the day off to stream RE9. I don't know, we'll see. I feel like it'll feel weird and a little bit less comfortable to try to stream it. I'll debate it. We'll see. If anything, maybe I'll do a video, like just record it and we can splice it together and drop it somewhere. Tomatoes, I don't know if you are still here. For those of you on Twitch, by the way, if this is your first time here and you hear me talking to voices, they are not in my head. I dual stream on YouTube, so I'm reading chat messages on that side. But Tomatoes, if you're still here, thank you for dropping by. All the luck to you for your game. Your what did you say it was? Was it a demo or? I can just scroll up. Okay, yeah, next week demo release. Thank you, Ren. Same for you. Thank you, thank you. I've been making pretty good progress on my work. Nothing really worth showing off to, a huge extent, but enough to kind of just demonstrate some mechanics. I'd like to get to a point kind of by halfway into this year to have enough to showcase and demonstrate when new people drop by and they want to see what it is. And I think that's ultimately the end goal there. But if I don't stop now, I'm just going to keep yapping and saying goodnight for the next, hour or so. So I will see you guys all, I think, on Monday. I think we have another full week ahead of us. I'll have to check, and then I'll post the schedule in the Discord a little bit later. But have a good afternoon. Have a good Saturday. I hope you enjoy your day, and I will see all of you again, hopefully, on Monday. Have a good one.